All right, well, welcome back to week 4. I have to preface this series, this week's videos, this topic, this discussion that we're going to have. It is extremely controversial, and it's controversial with a lot of very personal reasons. There's a lot of history that's involved. We're talking about things that are at least 200 years old, if not more. And yet they are still very fresh, very real, very tender to many people's hearts. We are talking this week about Russophobia and the Crimean War. I waited to talk about the Crimean War until today, until after we discussed the unification of Italy and the unification of Germany, primarily for this purpose, because within the Crimean War, we are beginning to see a new strategy, a new way of doing politics, of foreign affairs. And part of that is what we're going to be talking about today. So I want to ask that you handle this video, the material, with sensitivity towards others, respect towards others. And with that in mind, let's jump into the Crimean War and the Russophobia that was surrounding it. So the Crimean War takes place between 1853 and 1856, and it's over this region right here in this map. Russia is in the orange, the Ottoman Empire, which is weakening. It is persecuting Christians. There is just not a very strong government or empire at this time. It's been weakening again and again for many, many decades. It will eventually fall apart in World War I. But Russia's looking towards this Eastern question, Eastern Europe question. Who's going to do something about the Ottoman Empire? And in part, there is a religious aspect to it, or at least that's what's claimed. There is the Roman Catholic Church, and against sort of like against the Eastern Orthodox, the Russian Orthodox Church, of who is going to lay claim, who is going to protect these holy places under the Ottoman Empire as the Ottoman Empire starts to collapse and fall apart. Who's going to protect these holy places? Who are going to protect the Christians in these regions? There's also the question of the Bosphorus and Dardanelles Straits, which is that little piece of open land between the Black Sea coming through the Bosphorus Strait and Constantinople, that very important port, through that port into the Sea of Marmaris, into the Dardanelles, which gives access to the Mediterranean Sea. Who's going to control that and make sure that stays open and that trade is free? The Ottoman Empire at this time hasn't really done much to do anything to improve trade, not the infrastructure. There's no additional, there's no buildup of railroads that you would expect at this time. It's just sort of there. And this Eastern question, who's going to control this, becomes a major issue. In 1853, Russia decides it is going to be the one that's going to take those steps to ensure those particular things are taken care of. So what happens? Well, 1853, Russia moves into Moldavia and Wallachia, which is that southern, or actually it's the northern part of the Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire had control of those areas. These are sort of Slavic regions. Wallachia is present-day Romania. Moldavia is still Moldavia. But those areas, they start to move into there to take it back, take control, make sure the Christians there, the Orthodox Christians, are there and taken care of. They move into Sevastopol, which is in Crimea, that center little diamond-looking island right there, Sevastopol. And then from there, in 1853, they make a decisive move on Sinop, which is it's like a major naval port for the Turkish army. So, or the Turkish Navy. The Turks have moved in. There's a massive number of naval vessels there. Russia comes down with its navy and completely obliterates it in one shot. Done. Over. Basically, at this point, the war's won. We could have had minimal casualties. It could have been a kind of an open and closed case. Many historians believe that that was basically the end, the beginning of the end. First hit, boom, gone. Minimal casualties. And yet, in 1854, France and Britain joined the fight on the side of the Ottoman Empire against their European neighbor, Russia. And they come in, they change the course of everything. The battle is drawn out, the war is drawn out for many years until 1856. 1855, this is a year of absolute devastation on both sides. Both sides are losing thousands and thousands of men and people. This is a time when Florence Nightingale comes to the rescue to bandage and wound and heal the men of the British and the French armies that are dying of frostbite. They're dying because of lack of good military strategy. The British and the French thought they would come in and wipe them all out in just a heartbeat. It'd be easy peasy. They find it's not. Russia is perplexed. Like, what in the world is going on? Why are you even here? What is going on? We are on your side. We are one of you. But no, they keep on going. And in 1856, the Treaty of Paris is signed. Russia is decimated. Decimated. Geographically, the two states, two empires, Wallachia and Moldavia, both go back to the Ottomans. French and British give them back to the Ottoman Empire. Mind you, during this time, Piedmont, Sardinia has jumped in the fight because they want to get France or the Britain troops to be able to back them when they go up against Austria as they're trying to unify Italy. Remember that particular part? All of the Ottoman territory that was captured by the Russians is given back to the Ottoman Empire. Politically, Russia is forced to remove all Navy and military forces out of the Black Sea, the entire Black Sea, even those along the coast of Russia's own territory. Russia is left weak, throwing off the European balance of powers. Remember, this is a time of who's going to be top dog. Germany's trying to consolidate, unify. Italy's trying to consolidate, unify. France is trying to get back in the game after Napoleon ruined everything. Britain is still strong, trying to maintain its imperial majesty. And Russia kind of just gets smashed. And so this actually triggers both the Italian and the German unification. They can now sort of like step into that void. It is just an absolute crazy war. And so you have to ask the question, why did England and France join in the fight in the first place? Why did they oppose Russia? What was the strategy? Remember our situation, our problem, opportunity, and choices? Why did they choose to join? What did they see in their situation that went, oh yeah, here's some problems, here's some opportunities. Yeah, we really need to smash Russia. Why? The other one, why was Russia demonized? And by demonized, I mean made out to be Satan incarnate, the devil himself. This is a caricature in one of the papers of that time. It's about 1854, April 1854. This is the devil-looking kind of dude. That's Tsar Nicholas I, who is kind of tempting in the ear of the King Otto I of Greece. Hey, come and join us. Be a part of our team. Why don't you help me go over and knock off the Constantinople, and we can rebuild the glorious Byzantine Empire once again. And it's, of course, a mockery of the temptation of Christ by Satan. But again, this was a very common sort of image that was being projected during this time. Why? What did it serve? Was Russia, was the Tsar truly this massive demon person? Was he really Satan incarnate, evil? Well, during this time, from about 1812 is when we first sort of see it sort of pop up and actually being used against Russia, further into 1830s, and then or discussed in 1830s, and then further into the Crimean War in the 1850s. This, and then goes on forever. I mean, it's today. It happens today, right this moment. It's in your lives. You've seen this. But this is a promotion. They promoted this image in newspapers, in public speeches, before parliaments, before crowds, this idea that Russia is this barbaric empire of evil and expansionism. They were the gigantic octopus monster of the sea that reached out with its tentacles to grab all that it possibly could to bring it under its rule and empire. Barbaric meaning uncivilized, uncultured, unrefined. They are savage. Evil meaning they're bent on promoting themselves at the expense of everybody else, even if they have to crush the poor guy, even if they have to do violence when violence is not necessary. And then expansionism is what we've talked about before, and this is this mindset, this philosophy that I am going to take over countries to expand my global power and use their resources to benefit my country, my nation. Well, again, why? What was so beneficial about this? What was the opportunity here in my triangle that made this the best option, the best choice? Well, perhaps one reason was the idea at this time of that Euro-Asian dilemma that Russia was facing. It had many different languages, many different cultures. It was Christian, Islam, Buddhism, Judaism, Jewish, amongst many other little minor groups, religious groups. Most of these groups were localized throughout the country. And if you look at the map, Russia ran all the way from the eastern edge of proper Europe or Western Europe, from Germany and Poland and regions like that, all the way across and into North America. It owned Alaska. So all of this territory, all of this encompassed hundreds of different kinds of people, many different cultures. Compared to the United States today, which is about 2,800 miles wide, Russia during this time, during the 19th century, is about 2.3 times the length and size of our own United States. So just imagine how much is being sort of brought into the fold of the Russian Empire. Parts of Mongolian people are drawn into that. The Mongol people, the Asian, Far East Asian people are drawn into this particular empire. And it's all operating under the Tsar. So was this a big thing or not? Well, yeah, we do see that because we see it in literature. We see it in the way people spoke. So Rudyard Kipling in 1904, his comment about the Russian people says, the Russian is a delightful person until he tucks in his shirt, until he becomes civilized, until he tries to be European. As an Oriental, on the other hand, he is charming. It is only when he insists on being treated as the most easternly of Western peoples, instead of the most westerly of Eastern people, that he becomes a racial anomaly, most difficult to handle. Dostoevsky, in his journal, his writing diary, towards the end of his writing time, he writes, "In Europe we were hangers-on and slaves, whereas we shall go to Asia as masters. In Europe we were Tartars, whereas in Asia we too are Europeans." So the question comes, who are you? Who are we? In the mindset of the Russian, there really wasn't this idea of we all have to be one and the same. Everything fell under the Tsar. He was the protector, the father of the country. And according to records, the people, the regular people, the average person was relatively satisfied and content with that type of life. Not until later on did things get stirred up. But remember, this is a time of nationalism. We want to be who we are. We want to be Americans. And what does it mean to be American? And we are English, and we are French, and we are German. And what does that mean? So this is polarizing the opinion of the world, the Western world, towards Russia. Who are you? Look at all the different kinds of costumes and clothes and lifestyles and places and languages that Russia presented to the rest of the world. How was the rest of the world to sort of like trust them? Can they trust all the different people groups? Are they all of one mind? How can I negotiate and partner with someone that has so many different diverse cultures and I don't know what they want? You understand what I mean? This was a question, perhaps, that added to France and England's thought process of, hey, we need to put down Russia concerning the Ottoman Empire. They are not the best choice to do this, and we need to push them down. That's one possibility. I personally, from my research, don't believe this is a really good argument. It is an argument, and it may have contributed, but I think there's another one that's a little bit better. But we're going to look at that one and the evidence that it presents in our next video. So, stand by. We'll be right back.